Let's see, what do we have in rotation today? You know, I still have not played on the new map. The Ruins one. Still haven't touched it. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, I still have not seen it. It'll show up in the rotation eventually. Eggs for Easter. Oh yeah, it's forking Easter. Huh, it can be purple. That's neat. I hadn't noticed that. How fascinating. Alright, let's just load straight into a match, shall we? So, here we are back in Splatoon 2, or 3, I mean, Splatoon. It's a Sunday. We're streaming on a Sunday because of the Owl House. I'll be 100% honest, that's entirely why. Because by the time I'd seen the episode, it was, what, 1:30 in the morning? Something I think I finished it, yeah, between like 1 and 1:30. And I'm just like, you know, I could stream right now, but it's very late. And you know, I usually try to, like, I know we've done late streams in the past, sometimes as jokes, but doing a stream past midnight, I'm like, nah, I probably shouldn't. I mean, like, people aren't watching anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but, you know, it's a more personal thing. So I didn't. So, yeah, we didn't stream, but now it's Easter Sunday, and so I'm doing this anyways, mainly because I have tomorrow off. I took tomorrow off. So, yeah. Because, you know, we're doing more Zelda tomorrow. Probably. Yeah, so it's been a very hectic day. But I did watch the Owl House finale, and it'll be the last thing we talk about tonight. Just straight up, I put it at the end of the calendar, so come back in like, I don't know, like an hour and a half, probably. I say that, but there's only actually one news story today. That being, there's just been a bunch of movie trailers, and I kind of want to talk about all of them. So we're going to do that. And yeah, there's no actually other news story. There were a few other, like, minor things in the news. Like, I guess PlayStation's making a handheld console again. You know, Vita 2, Electric Vitaloo, or something like that. But for the most part, I don't care about that. There were a few other rumors. But, you know, nothing that I really cared about. So, yeah. But we do have the Mario Brothers movie to talk about. We got, along with the Owl House finale, we got the Ghost and Molly McGee second season premiered last week. And I got around to watching those, the first 5 episodes, which is all that's released at the moment. And then we have another episode of Moon Girl. So we got that to talk about as well. So, in Splatoon here, as you notice, right, I kept joking, oh, we're in the villain era now. The villain era just never happened. Instead, it became the lazy era. And as part of the lazy era, my weapon has become the bucket. And I say lazy era, like, this is some of the best gear. Like, I'm getting better at gear crafting. Because all of my gear is perfect. I don't know if there's a way to show that off, but trust me, it is. But yeah, I've picked up the Trice Launcher as a weapon, and I actually really like the Trice Launcher. It reminds me a lot of, like, a 52 gal, but it's shorter range, and has a lot more spread to it. So yeah, I've never really been a Slosher person. Like, when the Slosher first came to the original Splatoon, I was like, oh, cool, I'll try this out. And oh, see, there's my gear. You can tell I was literally gear. Last time I played, I was gear crafting because I've still got the boost for the thing. But yeah, so I did the gear craftings. Yeah, I've got some good gear. Oh, yeah, I've got tons of other stuff I need to make as well. This is just what I have. And it works okay. Like, part of me thinks I should put on a quick refill or some ink recovery up. Because I don't think ink saver's that big of a deal. But ink recovery might be nice. I don't know. It's something I'm thinking about. I know at most it'll make, what, like half a second of difference. And because I do have shoes with ink recovery up on them. But yeah, man, Tri-Slosher, man. Not a weapon I expected to like, but I actually really do. Because I remember when Splatoon 2 came out, and Tri-Slosher was the meta. Like, Tri-Slosher was the best weapon in the game. I played it, and I was like, whatever. And, like, I totally get why it was the best weapon in the game. Because if I remember correctly, it had burst bombs and ink armor. Which, like, God. I mean, could you imagine burst bombs and ink armor on, right, a set in this game? Instead, this thing has fizzy bomb, which is okay, I guess. And it's got tacticooler, which is not as cool as it should be. Even though they did buff it recently. You can now collect sodas at a larger distance. So yeah. And this is the variant. This is not the original Tri-Slosher. The original had, I want to say Jet on it, and I just was like, nah, I don't want. Jet's not one of those weapons I like. Right, Jet and Reef Slider. Like, those just aren't weapons I use at all. Like, the closest you'll get me to one of those is Ultra Stamp, and I only use Ultra Stamp because it's on the Splashomatic, whichever one's the big nose one. Whichever one's got the... And that's another weapon I guess I could compare this to. Is I guess I would say the Tri-Slosher is a more viable Sploosh-O-matic. Whichever one doesn't have Crab Tank. You know the one I'm talking about. I don't know. I always mix the two up. Yeah, I've gotten some insane kills with this already. I literally think I've gotten a team kill with this weapon, with the Tri-Slosher. I mean, I don't think it was 4 people at once, but it was like I killed 3, turned around and killed the other. Yeah, so I guess let's just get into it. So we got trailers to talk about tonight. Let's get through those first. So the first one we got is Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle. So I think it looks fine, right? We're in a weird point in the DC universe right now where it's like, literally, of the DC movies that released this year, what stays in the DC universe versus what leaves the DC universe literally all depends on how well they sell tickets, right? If Shazam had done really well in the box office, they would greenlit a third one and it would have stayed in the DC universe. But guess what? It didn't. Instead, it flopped actually pretty bad. So it's probably dead from the universe. And we're grounded. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. But you know, Blue Beetle. When I think of Blue Beetle, specifically Jaime Reyes, I think of Batman the Brave and the Bold, the TV show that, you know, I don't remember when it was on, but I saw a few episodes of it, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. Because Jaime Reyes is in that show, who... God, is he... I don't remember who voices him. For a second, I'm like, is he voiced by the kid who voices Terry McGinnis? That might be true. I kind of don't remember. Man, or was it... Or did one of the Robins get voiced by Terry McGinnis in that show? I don't remember. But, right, that's where I know of Jaime Reyes from. I know Linkara did the Blue Beetle retrospective at one point, which gives you a good idea of, like, the character's history and whatnot. You know, he's repping El Paso, even though Linkara gets it wrong. But no, Jaime Reyes is an interesting character. I also think Ted Kord is an interesting character. And at one point you see the Blue Beetle ship, and that immediately makes me think of Ted Kord. Because, you know, Ted Kord is the inspiration for Night Owl in the Watchmen comics. So that's... I don't know, I'm just thinking about stuff like that. Because I would love to see Ted Kord in this. Because, again, I like Ted Kord. I think everybody likes Ted Kord. Like, Ted Kord's one of those few characters that just everybody loves. And that's why Maxwell Lord killed him. Because it hurt everybody. And then Blue Beetle tried... Or, not Blue Beetle. Then, Booster Gold tried to undo his death. And it ended up with Maxwell Lord ruling the world. Yeah. Booster Gold's a fun character as well. Which I think... Isn't he getting a series in the new DC universe? Booster Gold? Boods. So yeah, him and the Adventures of Ted Kord. That might be fun. But yeah, so the actual trailer itself looks fine, right? Oh, you got the Blue Beetle is an alien face hugger. It's the super weapon that can destroy the world, which, again, I kind of remember from... Again, I'm basing most of my stuff off of the Linkara retrospective for actual comic stuff. And yeah, that sounds about right, because I know the Blue Beetle Scarab is kind of, like, evil, or at least it's designed to be evil. I don't know, I know Miss Marvel went through a very similar arc where she gets a Kree outfit that was, like, designed to be evil, and eventually she has to fight it, and I know the Blue Beetle has to fight it at some point. But they bring that up in the trailer. You know, you got some cool stuff in the trailer. That, you know, him pulling out that sword. Yeah, sure, is it anything that special? Like, does it like, mean anything? No, not really. But it just looks cool. And come on, when are we so fucking jaded that swords are just no longer cool? Because that sounds miserable. Because, yeah, swords are awesome. So I think that's cool. Him cutting the bus in half is cool. Right. Get that family connection in there. Again, George Lopez. I think the George Lopez line of, oh, Batman's a fascist is fine. I have literally no problem with it. As someone who loves Batman, I just walked into that. I have literally zero problem with that whatsoever. So I'm all around, like, I'm down for it. Like, it doesn't look like anything amazing, but as we'll talk about later tonight, not everything has to be amazing, right? Not everything has to be the fucking second coming of Jesus. Especially not when they do The Passion Part 2, which is, I think, still in development, sadly. It's fucking weirdo Mel Gibson. Yeah. Next trailer is Secret Invasion. We got another trailer for this. It's so funny, because back-to-back, because the villain in Secret Invasion is also one of the Kens in the Barbie movie, which is very funny. But no, I think Secret Invasion is not a show I'm actually that interested in, right? A Nick Fury show. Secret Invasion is an interesting concept for a comic, right? The idea of having all of a bunch of heroes, not all of them, but a bunch of heroes get replaced by Skrulls who are, you know, invading Earth. I think that's an interesting concept, and I felt like the Marvel Avengers show from, what, like 2012-ish? They did Secret Invasion at one point, and they literally destroyed Captain America's they destroyed Captain America's reputation, right? Because they had replaced Captain America with a scroll, and that was very interesting. I felt like that did a good job adapting it. You even have that one moment where all the heroes, spoiler alert for the Secret Invasion comics, there's a point where all the heroes come to Earth and claim that they had been kidnapped this whole time, and try to convince the other character that all the heroes they've been helping out have actually been Skrulls this whole time. And it's just a really interesting thing that happens. It's and the thing is, the comic kind of isn't that great. Like, it's got problems for sure, right? It's been called damn obvious assault because the Secret Invasion doesn't remain secret for that long. So I definitely feel like if the show's gonna make it a mystery, you kind of got to go through with that, because the comic sure doesn't. But it's an interesting concept. But I always figured, oh, if we're gonna get Secret Invasion, it's gonna be a Avengers movie, right? You could build up to it in an Avengers movie, but no, instead it's just gonna be a show. So, it could still be good. There's nothing that says it can't be good. But I'm, out of all, like, the Marvel shows, I'll be honest, I'm, like, the least interested in it. And the trailer didn't really sway me in either direction, if I'm just being honest. Next up, we got Across the Spider-Verse. This trailer was amazing. I've watched it dozens of times at this point. I love it so much, right? We find out Miles Morales, oh, hey, guess what? He's slacking his responsibilities. He's failing Spanish class, or he's got a B in Spanish class, which is basically failure. And now he gets invited to join these Spider-Man people. And there was a joke. Someone made a joke when the original trailer came out. That, like, what if the reason all these other Spider people hate Miles is because he can hug his parents and they can't, right? Because, right, every Spider person loses an Uncle Ben or a Peter Parker or anybody else, right? They lose a loved one. And yes, Miles Morales did lose Uncle Aaron, and that is true. And I'm sure they'll address that at some point. But no, Miles Morales, right? He's got a loving, and I know his dad dies in the comic as well. Like, that's a thing. And it happened in the Spider-Man videos game as well. The first one, before Miles Morales. But, right, losing is part of the Spider-Man thing. So, in this movie, what if all the Spider people are mad at him because he's trying to find another way? Meanwhile, all the Spider people, right, oh, well, you've got to lose someone to become a Spider person. And so, yeah, they might be mad at him because Miles can hug his parents. Like, legitimately, like, it's a joke. But it might not also be a joke either, which I think is very funny. We'll see if that actually turns out. It also seems like, so I've read, I'm forgetting the writer's name, but his run of Fantastic Four where they do the Council of Reeds, and part of the Council of Reeds is they form the Council of Reeds, but in exchange, they have to give up their family, right? In order for the mainline 616 Reed Richards to join, he has to give up his family, right? His wife and kids. Yeah, I think he has both a son and a daughter at that point. Yeah. Is it Jonathan Hickman? It might be Jonathan Hickman. I don't remember. I've read that run of Fantastic Four. And so part of me wonders if they're doing something similar with this, by having, right, in order to join this Spider-Man Council, right, you have to lose somebody. And because in the Council of Reeds comic, Reed Richards chooses to go with his family. He gives up on the Council of Reeds and decides it's better to be with his family. Honestly, one of the better Reed Richards moments. I have a lot of problems with Reed Richards, mostly involving Civil War and the aftermath. But no, the Council of Reeds is not one of them. I actually think it's a great moment. But I wonder if, right, it's going to be the same thing here, right? Miles Morales has to give up his family or his loved ones in order to be a true Spider-Man, but he refuses to. So that's totally a thing that might be coming. But it's a great trailer. The spot, it looks great in it. I love the fucking Miguel Spider-Man 2099. I'm forgetting his last name. Looks great in it. I love the way he moves. It's so animalistic. Them doing like all the spider people, oh, right, pointing at each other. That's fun. Again, they made the joke in the original Spider-Verse, but them doing it again is great. It's just such a obvious bit, but it gets a laugh out of me every time. Having Peter Parker be happy and have a child Mayday, great. I love that. Again, I've talked about it in the past. I want Peter Parker to just retire, be happy, and fade away. So seeing something akin to that in this, yeah, that's great. God, I wonder what's happening with the modern day Amazing Spider-Man run. I haven't kept up with it recently. Just, like, I know everything was going to shit, and that was like 2 months ago now. Like, I guess they forgot one of the kids' names. So right in the issue where they're introduced, they're called like Jessica, but in a later issue it's named like Mary or something like that. Those are just 2 made up names. I don't remember what they actually use. That's funny. I find that very funny. But yeah, the modern day Spider-Man comic run is just garbage because editorial mandate. Peter Parker can't have love. He can't be happy. But a man can dream. A man can dream. So yeah, everything about this trailer looks great. I'm super excited. It comes out in June. So that's going to be great. Next up, we got a trailer for the Barbie movie. Right now, I still all aboard. I think this looks great. It reminds me a lot of the Lego movie. And part of that, I think part of it is Will Ferrell. The fact that Will Ferrell is literally in both the movies. Because in this movie, he's playing like an executive, like a businessman. And in the Lego movie, he is Lord Business. Or Emperor Business, or whatever. So part of me wonders if they're literally going... Because it looks like, right, all the Barbies live in this sort of dream world. And we got this originally with like the posters, where it's like, oh, all the characters are named either Barbie or Ken. And it's right, this Barbie is on the Supreme Court. This Barbie is president. This Barbie is a mermaid. I think Dua Lipa was a mermaid. So, right there, and all the characters are Ken, right? Oh, he's Ken. He's just Ken. He's Ken. And then Michael Cera, and there's one other woman who's a different, like, not a Barbie and Ken, but those are also references to, like, old Barbie figures as well. So, like, those have precedent as well. But no, all of it looks great. And then it looks like they're going on an adventure, leaving Barbie world to go into the real world. So it looks like that'll be a big aspect of the movie. I don't know. I'm just... Greta Gerwig, I fully trust her. I think this is going to be great. And it comes out the same day as Oppenheimer. And I know, right, people are saying as like a joke, oh, men will go and see the Barbie movie, and women will go see Oppenheimer. And, like, it's a joke, but I also think it's just the truth at this point. Like, I'm actually way more excited to see Barbie than I am to see Oppenheimer. Like, maybe I'll get around to it. But Barbie, oh, that's where it's at, man. But no, this trailer looks great. I'm super excited for it. And then finally, we got an Indiana Jones trailer because Star Wars convention's going on right now. There was an Ahsoka trailer. I just didn't watch it. Honestly, I have not cared about Star Wars in so long. I have literally zero desire for anything Star Wars. I don't know. I heard Andor was really good. But I'm just like, I just don't care anymore. Right? Like, I guess Daisy Ridley's gonna be in another Star Wars movie. Which, I mean, she's a good actress. And I know we all, like, a lot of people say, oh, Kylo Ren, Adam Driver carried the sequel trilogy. Daisy Ridley also did a good job. It's just, there's a lot of sexism out there. And yeah. So, okay, cool. Her character's coming back. But I don't care about all the Star Wars shows. They haven't made a movie in forever. Like, they were doing one movie a year. And I'm pretty sure it's been like 4 years since the last movie. And Solo wasn't even that bad. Rise of Skywalker was way worse. But yeah, I know Mandalorian Season 3 is airing right now. Spoiler alert, Jack Black and Lizzo are literally in an episode. And I love Jack Black, and Lizzo is pretty cool. And I have no desire to watch it. Well, one, I haven't seen the second season. But yeah, I just don't care. Star Wars is literally dead to me. Which sucks, because I used to really love Star Wars. I think everything sucks. Right? Star Wars, every big franchise sucks. Star Wars sucks, the MCU sucks, the DC universe sucks. And I don't know what it is. Is this partially pushing? Is there like a narrative that is trying to be pushed that says everything sucks? Do they actually suck? I have no idea anymore. Like, part of me feels like there's a forced narrative going on. But then, maybe it's just gotten too... Like, I knew the multiverse was going to be a problem in the MCU. But we haven't even really done that much with the multiverse. Their multiverse of madness wasn't that mad after all. I don't know, I just hope Guardians is good. That's less than a month away now. But no, franchises... I mean, again, I'm super excited for Spider-Verse, but that's a sequel. That's not a franchise. Oh, and I didn't even bring up how the Spider-Verse mentioned the Earth 19999. They actually made it... I've always just put a random string of nines whenever I say the Earth 1999999. But because of Spider-Verse, I can actually remember it now. They just simply lay it out. It's 199999. That's it. I actually remember it now. So I guess my joke of just adding a random string of nines afterwards is dead. And what side of the 1999 or 616 am I on? Well, yes, in the MCU, it is 616, right? That's the number they're going with. That's the number Kevin Feige stands by. But I think it is stupid. Honestly, it's just... Because the whole point of creating multiversal numbers is to make these things easier. Easy for a person to tell apart. But calling both the comics universe and the MCU universe 616 literally just makes things more complicated. Whereas, I know 199 just comes from a random, like, comic book encyclopedia, but it at least distinguishes things. Could they have given it a not stupid number? Like, could they have just called it Earth 199? Yeah. Would that have been 1,000 times better? Yes. But they made their bed, now they gotta lie in it. And honestly, yeah, I'm still pro 1999.99. Nothing has changed for me. I still stand by it. But no, in the end, this does not retcon 616 out of existence. But I do think it gives us the solution to the problem. The MCU calls itself 616, but every other universe should call it 19999. 9? I think I left out a 9 there. That's the solution to the problem. The MCU calls itself what it wants to. And I know there's that whole theory that, like, oh, the MCU is the MCU is 616 because it's the 5th incarnation of the multiverse. And that's not a bad theory at all, actually. But no, I feel like, yeah, every other media, so like the comics should call it 1999.99. Other movies should call it 1999.99. But the MCU calls itself 616. I think that's the solution to your problem. So Indiana Jones. You know, I'll watch the new Indiana Jones. It might be good, right? Harrison Ford, in the past 20 years, has just done movies for the paycheck. But if he's actually excited to be in this one, then maybe there's actually something good going on here. Because Harrison Ford did not want to go back to Star Wars. I don't even think he wanted to make Crystal Skull, which we know Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is bad, but that doesn't entirely mean everything. Right? Like, that's not the end-all be-all. But no, the actual movie itself, the trailer looks fine. Is Mads Mikkelsen the villain? It looks like Mads Mikkelsen is playing the Nazi villain, which that's actually not a terrible idea. I do like me some Mads Mikkelsen. Not to a Kojima level, but, you know, he's fine. But the trailer, you know, like, I guess I'm more excited for it than I am any Star Wars project. But it's more of just like, oh yeah, I'll go see it. Am I excited? Not really. Oh, rip. But I'll see it. I've got nothing to lose other than 2-3 hours, however long it's gonna be. So yeah. Any other trailer? I know we're getting a Marvels trailer on like Tuesday. We're getting a trailer for the Marvels. And that is, God, I want that movie to be good. I really do. Because it sounds like it could be. From everything I've heard about it. I'm like, yeah, this could be fun, right? Having them just constantly switching places. That could be interesting. But we'll have to see how it all turns out. Yeah, anything. I can't think of anything else. But there were a lot of trailers this week and a lot of good ones. Why all of a sudden this week? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think anything big is... Well, the Star Wars one I get, right? The 2 Star Wars ones. But, yeah. Or the Star Wars and the Indiana Jones one. Because, again, Star Wars convention. But yeah, it just felt like everyone wanted to do something. So, I guess let's go to WIBE. So what have I been doing? Well, we've got all the big things, right? We've got the Mario movie, the Owl House, all the big stuff. Any small stuff? Have I been playing any video games? I mean, we've been working on my Perfect Gear in Splatoon, right? And I use Perfect Gear. Like, I want to say, like, I don't want to make, like, oh, well, this gear has a main of, right, bomb defense up, and then 3 subs of bomb defense up. Like, I want to find variety within my gear. Like, that's part of my thing, right? Like, if you look at my current stuff, right? Oh, it may have swim speed up as, right, the subs, but it's got a stealth jump as the main, right? I feel like that's the best. I want to just get a bunch of random gear that, right, 3 subs in a different main, and then I just mix and match what I need. And hopefully if I create enough gear, eventually I'll have something that basically fills every niche eventually. Like, I definitely, like, I'm going to want different pieces of swim speed gear that does different things. Like, I want a swim speed gear for every attribute, right? So right now my swim speed gear is just for boots, but I'm going to want to find swim speed gear for shirt and pants as well, or for headgear and pants eventually. But that'll happen all in due time. You know, just gotta go slow and steady with it. The other thing is, so, for some reason, I randomly, and I don't remember what I was doing, but I randomly watched Mark Brown's Boss Keys again. I think I was looking, not the Breath of the Wild episode, I watched literally every other episode. Because originally I was looking for something. And I eventually did find said thing. And I can't even, this was like a week ago now. I can't even remember what it was. But then I was like, oh, so I watched that one episode. I think it was the Link Between Worlds episode. I was looking for something from that somehow related to Dungeon. It was maybe something we talked about in one of the most recent Zelda streams. I don't remember. There was something there. And so after watching that, I just watched through the rest of the series, again, except for the Breath of the Wild one. And after that, I was like, I kind of want to play a traditional Zelda game again. So I booted up Link's Awakening, right? The Switch remake of Link's Awakening. I booted it up the other day, I think yesterday. And I played through a little bit of it. I did the first 2 dungeons, which were very easy, right? And yeah, it's Link's Awakening. It's honestly, like, I used to say, oh, well, okay, so before Link Between Worlds, I used to say, oh, my favorite 2D Zelda game is Minish Cap. And then I actually replayed Minish Cap a few years back, and I was like, no, that's not true. Especially because I think my least favorite 2D Zelda dungeon, maybe my least favorite Zelda dungeon of all time, Palace of Winds, is in Minish Cap. I hate that dungeon so much. And I'm not entirely sure why. It just annoys me. So, right, if Minish Cap doesn't have my favorite 2D dungeon, what does? Or what is my favorite 2D Zelda if it's not Minish Cap? Well, it's Link Between Worlds. I love Link Between Worlds. But I didn't want to play Link Between Worlds, so if I had to pick another option, it's Link's Awakening. And yeah, replaying Link's Awakening, the Switch port, it's great. I played it for like an hour, maybe like an hour and a half. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a great little game. It's Link's Awakening. So yeah, I put some time into that. I'm definitely gonna beat it in like the next week, because it's super simple. I know there are some confusing parts where it's totally easy to get lost. Like, I remember when the Switch port came out, right? I mostly coasted through it, but then I got to one point and I was just like so confused. And I don't even remember what it was. I know there was like some enemy that like I couldn't figure out how to damage, and then you find out, oh, you have to hit them with your magic powder that you haven't used since like the second dungeon. And I was like, ah, shit. Right? But I literally used magic powder last. So I know that's going to become an issue eventually, because I just know you have to use magic powder. Which dungeon, which boss, no idea. But yeah, I do enjoy Link's Awakening. And then maybe afterwards I'll then decide to play Link Between Worlds. I don't know. I'm just in a Zelda mood right now. Tears of the Kingdom, playing Breath of the Wild, but I can't play Breath of the Wild off stream, because that would like defeat the whole purpose of it. And like sometimes I only have like an hour and a half, and I just see no reason to stream then. I mean, I probably could. There's like nothing stopping me from doing it. But I'm just like, nah, I don't want to worry about it. Anything else? I played some Mario's Kart, some Mario race cars. Nothing too big there. I'm sure I played something else. I can't think of anything. I've been meaning to watch that Tetris movie on Apple TV. And I just keep pushing it off. So I haven't watched that yet. But I want to. I do want to watch that Tetris movie. I started watching, is it Crimson Rogue? I think it's Crimson Rogue. Yeah, Crimson Rogues put out a 7.5-hour book review. And so, while working on my perfect year, I've been listening to it. And I'm like maybe an hour in. So I've got another 6.5 hours to go. But that's gonna be a good time sink. I'll do this, and yet I still can't find time to put in the 9 hours for Joseph Anderson's Witcher series. Or at least the 5 hours for part 2, because I've seen part 1. But I should probably rewatch part 1 before I watch part 2. So, what you gonna do? I don't know, I picked up a new book, or I picked up a new audiobook anyways, listened to the first, like, 20 minutes, and I haven't touched it since. Because it said I started the 7.5-hour book review. That is technically shorter than the audiobook, because I think my audiobook is 9 hours. But still, that's a long time. So, I guess let's just go into the Mario movie. So, the Mario Brothers movie came out, finally. And, just off the bat, I enjoyed it. I'll say I did enjoy it as a fan of Mario games since I was a wee little lad. Yeah, this scratches every niche. It's filled with references to the games, references to other Nintendo games. So much more than that. It does a stellar job at all of it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of fun. It's very simple. But to be fair, Mario is simple. That's not an excuse. That's more of an explanation. Like, Mario... So there's this idea of, like, the 7 basic plots. You know, rags to riches, hero, princess, dragon, the comedy, the drama. I think, is romance one of the 7 basic plots? Like, the love story? Yeah, I'm sure it is. Right there... It's this whole idea. I clearly do not remember all 7 of them, right? A much younger me probably would have. But no. But there are 7 basic plots. And Mario is literally probably the picture-perfect definition of the hero saves a princess from a dragon, which is one of them. Because, you know, he's a hero who saves a princess from... I mean, he's a giant King Turtle guy, but it's a dragon. So yeah, the Mario Brothers movie sticks to that perfectly, right? It's a perfect adaptation of the game. However, I will admit, it gives Mario probably the most character he has ever had. Because Mario's characterization, no matter which Mario game you look at, whether it's the original or the most recent Odyssey, Mario's characterization can be summed up as hero, guy who does good things, nice person. Right? That's it. Mario's character is the most generic character in the world. In the movie, he's actually got personality. He's still pretty flat. I mean, most of the characters they're pretty one note. But it's still more character than he has ever had. Luigi usually is brimming with character, which would be nice, you know, but Luigi doesn't really do that much in this movie. He is your princess in another castle, so he sadly doesn't do that much. Man. Now, every criticism I have seen of this movie is perfectly valid. You know, it's kind of appeals to the lowest common denominator. Its plot is super basic. Its characters are kind of flat. Its story is super cliche. The pacing is awful. What are some other ones? Right, for all the video game music, I think it's used great. For all of the licensed music, it's awful, right? Like, I love even in Illumination's worst movies, like the Minions, their soundtracks are usually pretty good. They pick good songs, because they get all the good licensed music. And yeah, this movie has tons of good licensed music, right? I mean, spoiler alert, Take On Me, Holding Out for a Hero, Mr. Blue Sky, right? They use tons of license that I love. No reason for it to be in the movie whatsoever. Like, legitimately, there is no reason for any of this music to be in the movie. Right? It comes completely out of nowheres, and it leaves as quickly as it starts. But I still love all of the music. So, like, yeah, it's technically a problem, but I love all those songs. So what can I say? But yeah, every criticism I see against this right now, there's been a big division between the critic and the audience scores. That the critic scores have this at like a 50, like 1 or something. And the audience scores, meanwhile, have this at like a 95. And yeah, because every criticism of this movie is completely valid. Like, I totally get every problem this movie has. However, I just kind of don't care, you know? I had a rip-roaring good time watching Mario and Luigi, or Mario and Peach, fight a dragon to save Princess Luigi. It's very simple. It's a lot of fun. The only voice actor, so right, one of the big controversies around this movie was the voice actors. I legitimately think they all do a fine job, except for, weirdly enough, Cranky Kong. I don't know, I just expected his voice to be crankier, and it isn't. But I felt like everyone else. I know Seth Rogen is just doing his voice, but I feel like Seth Rogen's... Right, you don't get Seth Rogen expecting him to do a voice. It's like how you don't get the guy who does Joe in Family Guy for a voice either. Right? He's just going to do his voice. And there's really no problem with that. So no, I have zero problem with Seth Rogen just doing a Seth Rogen voice. Charlie Day is, I still stand by, a great Luigi. Chris Pine does a fine job as Mario. Nothing amazing, but it's fine. Anya Taylor-Joy is a good Peach. The movie clearly takes adaptation from the Super Mario Brothers manga, which is a great... If you've never read it, you can literally find a dub of the entire series on YouTube, and I do recommend it. It's pretty good. At least you used to be able to find a dub on YouTube. I'm sure that still exists. But it's clearly... the story is basically the story from that one, which is, I know, oh, Peach is now a no-nonsense action girl. They basically just gave Peach Daisy's personality. No, they didn't. They're literally just adapting the manga. Kind of. Again, I do recommend it. But yeah, Charles Martinet has 2 roles in this movie, and you can immediately pick him out for both. But I actually felt like both roles were pretty fitting. Who else? Kamek does a fine job. Jack Black fucking kills it. Jack Black is amazing. I see the song from... Jack Black has an original song in the movie, and he does a fantastic job. I feel like Jack Black's song is amazing. And yeah, it's totally been stuck in my head ever since. So yeah, he kills it. Yeah, Kamek is good. Toad, Keegan-Michael Key's Toad is fine. It's nothing special, but it's not the Toad voice, so yeah, it works. Do I want to... I mean, I say we get into spoilers, but it's not like there's... It's, again, it's hero saves princess from dragon. There's not much to spoil, but I will put on the spoilers. So, yeah. So Bowser's whole motivation is he steals the superstar, he steals the MacGuffin, but he actually just wants to marry Peach. Right? Peaches. That's his whole motivation, is he wants to marry Peach and take over the universe. Along the way, Mario and Luigi are from Brooklyn, but Mario and Luigi are kind of failures, they're kind of fuck-ups. They want to prove themselves to their dad, who Mario's father is voiced by Charles Martinet. I think that's a great fit. There's also Jumpman in the movie as well, who's also voiced by Charles Martinet, and I'm like, oh, that works fine as well. There's a bunch of... there's so many Mario references. In, like, just even in Brooklyn, right? There's Spike from Wrecking Crew. There's a balloon fight reference early on as well. It also shows up, I think, later on in the movie. The pizzeria the movie starts in... You know, where you first see Mario and Luigi is Punch-Out Pizzeria. There are just so many references. Kid Icarus. But yeah, Mario's a fuck-up. But, you know, in order to unfuck up, they go to the Mushroom Kingdom... Because, you know, they're trying to fix this. It's just like the movie. They're trying to fix the sewer, and they get sucked to the Mushroom Kingdom. They get separated. Luigi gets kidnapped by some Shy Guys. Mario meets the princess. And they go on an adventure to, you know, recruit Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong has the exact same plot. His father, Cranky Kong, which some people have been mad that they retconned Donkey Kong to be Cranky Kong's son, where originally Cranky Kong is supposed to be his grandfather. Who cares? Honestly, I don't think it matters. It's literally just nitpicking nerds being nitpicking nerds. So I have no problem with that. They go to the Kongs, you get all the Mario Kart stuff, which the Rainbow... You know, I was expecting the Rainbow Road sequence to be the climax. It's not, but it's still just so much fun. And then in the end, Bowser and Peach have their wedding. There's a bunch of Mario Odyssey references, but the wedding is stopped by Peach stops the wedding, and then Mario comes in, saves his brother, because Bowser's gonna sacrifice Luigi, the Luma from the trailer, who is, you know, you knew the joke was coming, and I still laughed at it. That Luma joke is super funny. They knew it as well. Like that's literally how the movie ends, with the Luma joke, and it's like, yeah, because that's really funny. Mario and Luigi. Mario kind of goes to like Bowser goes to destroy Peach's castle. Mario lures the Bonsai Bill away, accidentally pulls everyone into New York, where he's able to stop, where him and Luigi team up. Because, yeah, for the most part, one of the problems is that Luigi is criminally underused. Because for the most part, him and Mario are separated until the very end, where they get the Power Star and they work together. But them getting the Power Star and working together is really cool. Like, it's a fun sequence. Again, there's so much video game music here. There's more. You could pick any random minute from this movie, and you will find more video game music than both Sonic movies combined. Which I think the lesson to be learned is that the third Sonic movie should just have more video game music. That's what I want. Because Sonic has so much great music. Honestly, Sonic music is probably better than Mario music. Sonic's got so much great music in it. Even when the games are bad, the music's still good. We got destroyed. But yeah, in the end, Mario and Luigi are able to defeat Bowser. They put him in a jar. You know, like the jar. The MLP jar. Yeah, like that. Well, okay, it's not that, but it's that. Let's be real here. And yeah, and then the movie ends with Mario and Luigi moving to the Mushroom Kingdom to become plumbers. And then there is a post-credit scene that teases Yoshi. Again, super simple movie. The climax really isn't anything that special, if I'm being honest with you. Like, really, like, the Rainbow Road is, like, this big thing, and you get, like, tons of little again, there's so many references to things. And I know, references do not make something good, right? If references made something good, then the Scary Movie would be the best movie of all time. Those fucking epic and disaster movies would be amazing, but they aren't. But references do mean a lot. It's paying homage to the games, and it's not like the movie stops to be like, hey, did you get that reference? No, they're spitting so many at you that they just kind of keep going. And right, in Mario and Donkey Kong working together to earn the respects of their father. Right, Mario has this moment where he doubts if he can actually do it while he's hiding away in the pizzeria, but then he decides, yes, he can do it. It's really well done. Yes, the movie sucks, but it's also really good. I've heard some people say that, oh, well, first of all, somebody said that this is Illumination's worst movie. One critic review said that. Not even fucking close. Have you seen any of the Illumination movies? This is probably their best or second best movie. I don't know. I still like the first Despicable Me. Is it actually that good? I don't know. But I remember really liking it. The second Despicable Me, meanwhile, was bad, but it was an enjoyable bad. But I would say no. This is just... If you're a video game fan, you're going to absolutely love it. If you're a kid, or if you have kids, they are going to... This is great. And I know, I'm the type of guy who's always like, oh, well, kids' movies need to be better, right? We shouldn't just give kids the lowest common denominator of film. Which is usually how I refer to movies like Minions, right? As lowest, Minions 2 especially, lowest common denominator of film. But I wouldn't say this is lowest common denominator. It's not even close to highest. But it's definitely not lowest common denominator. Maybe it's because I've seen far, far worse. Like, this doesn't even get close to breaching the worst kids movie I've ever seen. This is no Oogie Loves. Right? No, this actually has, right, this actually has a plot and characters that you can enjoy. Yeah, is an adult who doesn't play Mario going to enjoy it? Probably not. But there's a good chance that, you know, you are an adult who does enjoy Mario. Because a lot of people bought the NES. A lot of people bought the Wii. Switch is pretty... A lot of people, over 100 million people, own a Switch right now. But yeah, it's... Is it better than the 1990... I think it's 1990s. The old Mario Brothers movie? Yes, but they're doing different things. The original Mario Brothers movie is very interesting, because it's this sort of, like, sci-fi dystopia movie that, you know, has some very interesting visuals. That, is it a good Mario Brothers movie? No. Is it a good movie? Not really. But it's interesting. Right? Visually, stylistically, it's a very interesting movie. And I would say, right, that's something. Whereas this is, it's Mario. And Mario is the simplest thing in the world. So, like, they don't fuck it up by any means. They just give us Mario. And Mario is simple. And the bigger question is there a problem with that? I personally don't think so. You know, as long as you have balance, right? Perfectly balanced as all things should be. For every Puss in Boots, we get a Mario Brothers movie. Because again, there are far worse kids movies out there. Norm of the North. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. So I really enjoyed it. I recommend the Mario Brothers movie easily. Hands down, had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, as someone who plays who's played all of the games, have I not played? Is there any of the mainline Mario games I haven't played? If there is, I can't think of it. Yeah, if there is a mainline Mario game I haven't played, I don't know what it is. I mean, I've never beaten Mario Brothers 3. I'll admit that. But I've played it. I just never beat it. Yeah. And yeah, if they make, of course, right, right now the Mario Brothers movie is on track. I think it already is the best, I'm going to say best-selling because I can't think of the right word. I'm pretty sure it already is the best, like, the highest-grossing movie of the year right now. And again, it's only been out for like 5 days. So, of course, they're going to greenlight a sequel. And yeah, make a sequel, do Yoshi, make 2 sequels, do one with... okay, so the sequel, I want to take influence from Odyssey. And I'd want the sequel to be, hey, Mario... basically, you do Bowser again. And Bowser Jr. kick Mario and Luigi and Peach out of the castle. And basically sends them to the other side of the world. So now the movie is a literal odyssey for Mario and Luigi, trying to get back home to the Mushroom Kingdom, introduce Daisy, and right, make her they end up in Sahasra Land, where Daisy picks them up, and she joins them on their journey, and actually give Daisy an actual personality, because we all say Daisy is a spunky tomboy, but she's only ever appeared in the sports games in Mario Land, the original Mario Land, of which she has the exact same characterization as Peach does in Mario 1. So, is she actually a spunky tomboy? It's a little hard to say. Also, make her Egyptian, right? I don't want a white Daisy. Make her Egyptian. Because Daisy comes from Sahasra Land, which is based on Egypt. It's also based on Easter Island in Japan and like one other place that I'm forgetting. But you know what I mean. Yeah. But, right, have them, right, their journey home, right, fighting off against Bowser Jr., maybe introduce Wario and Waluigi in a sort of Kid Icarus mirror. What's another example of where an evil character comes from? The mirror from... I remember the mirror from Kid Icarus, right? Where he breaks the mirror, but it releases the evil version of himself. But there's another example as well, where it's like, oh, we're going to release an evil version of you. I don't know. Find a way to basically have Wario and Waluigi. Maybe they come from an alternate dimension. I don't know. Figure it out. But yeah, that's one idea. So it's... And then, of course, Yoshi's there as well. So it's basically Mario, Luigi, Daisy, and Yoshi on an odyssey to get back to Peach's castle and stop Bowser. And along the way, they get interrupted by Wario, Waluigi, and Bowser Jr. I think it could be fun. Again, simple, but it could be fun. And then for the third one, do Mario Galaxy. I'd also be fine if the second one was Mario Galaxy, because I feel like there's a lot more to do with Mario Galaxy. It's got a lot more potential. But yeah, no, just do Galaxy. Introduce Rosalina. Pauline has a brief cameo in the movie. Is she the mayor of New York? I don't really know about that, but she is in the movie for like a brief second. But yeah, no, introduce Rosalina. They go, right, it's the exact same plot as Mario Odyssey. I think it'd be really cool. Yeah, we'll see what actually happens, you know, but I'm sure they'll make a second one, and then maybe they make a Zelda movie, because Zelda has so much potential for a movie. Maybe they make a Metroid movie. Metroid has so much potential for a movie. Make a F-Zero movie. Make a Star Fox movie. Make a Earthbound. I think Earthbound would also be an interesting movie. Build up that Nintendo universe, man. I know I'm jaded on cinematic universes right now, but I love Nintendo games. So it could be great. Make a Splatoon TV show. I don't know if Splatoon would make a good movie, but it could totally, based on the manga, they could totally make a good TV show or an anime. So yeah, I think that's all I got to say about that. So next up, we're going to talk about Moon Girl, or next up, we're going to talk about Ghost of Molly McGee. So Ghost of Molly McGee premiered its second season with its first 5 episodes. And yeah, it's fine. I like it still. The big introduction this season is there's the Chens. Ghost hunting Chens? Chens? I'm pronouncing... God, I'm... fucking... But, so, they introduce the new neighbors, who, it's literally... They're June and Ollie, who are, right, supposed to be Molly and her brother. And the twist is they're ghost hunters. Because, right, there's this whole thing, there's this really weird thing, actually, where Ollie literally has the exact same face as Molly. And, like, the whole joke throughout the episode is, like, they're exactly the same, right? And, you know, they're hinting at the romance between them. They literally joke in one episode that their ship name is Molly. Right? The whole point is that they're supposed to be very similar. And then you get the twist that they're ghost hunters. That's what makes them opposites. Of course, they're not, like, they're not taken seriously as ghost hunters. Because I guess you find out the father has this whole backstory where he was, like, haunted as a kid. And so now he's out to prove ghosts are real. And he does that with his family. And yeah, so I think that's a very interesting setup. Again, I've seen it before, but, you know, I like it. And yeah, they definitely ship Molly and Ollie hard, but that's the point. Because by the end of the 5th episode, when they go to prom, homecoming, and they get named prom/homecoming king and queen, like, that's very intentional. But yeah, the introduction episode for them, finding out the dad makes root beer, the mom likes spicy food, the daughter June is autistic, which they do just blatantly say, that's a lot this season, is they just blatantly say stuff, and I love it. Because, you know, so often we try to, like, especially with autism, there's so often it's like, oh, this character is coded autistic. But no, they just straight up say, yeah, she's autistic. But she gets along really well with the brother as well, because, you know, the brother's up a prankster. He causes chaos. And, you know, June creates gadgets. So there's an obvious connection between them. And then Molly and Ollie are the same person. But, you know, meanwhile, Scratch, because Molly killed the Ghost King, the director, Scratch is now director. He doesn't want to be director, and he just wants to continue being Lazy Scratch. But he's eventually forced into the position as director. And he takes it on. And so now that's going to be a big part of it, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of conflict. Right now, the conflict is more like he has to like tell people what to do, and he doesn't want to. He's got to learn responsibility, specifically, right, dealing with the old Ghost Council. So I'm sure there's going to be some right. We already see conflict with these like rogue, malicious spirits that are usually kept in check by the director, but because of everything that happened, now there's no more director. So yeah, a few episodes that stand out. The Slumber Party one is fantastic. Because, so they're, right, it's Andrea and Molly and Libby having a sleepover. But then, surprise, surprise, Libby gets her period. There's no coding, there's no language there. They just blatantly say it. And while Libby's, right, super embarrassed about it, Andrea's like, oh yeah, I've had my period for a few months now. You know, this is just a normal part of becoming a woman. And right, and Molly feels left out because she hasn't had hers yet. And yeah, it's just very blatant. Of course, they still do make the joke, right? The dad goes out to buy Libby pads and doesn't know what to get. So, right, you have those stupid dad jokes. But it still is a very serious look at it. And yeah, this show has done great with stuff like that. Again, this show has maybe the best Hanukkah special I have ever seen. So I like how part of me jokes that this is a better take on periods. And this does a better take on periods in 11 minutes than the entirety of Turning Red. Of course, Turning Red does a good job at dealing with Asian generational trauma. But that's a whole other thing. But no, I thought that was a great episode. The other Andrea episode where they talk about Amazon instant delivery services and how they hurt local businesses was great. The Libby episode in the bookstore where there's this story sprite that turns into whatever it reads. So they give it Libby's diary and it just turns into Libby and it now feels awful. That's a great solution to the problem. And then, yeah, the prom episode where Molly has to choose between, Scratch and dating Ollie, who is the ghost hunter. Because she spends an entire episode trying to, get Ollie to like ghosts without, revealing Scratch. And it doesn't work. And then, of course, at the end of that episode, Ollie figures out that Scratch is real. But he's too heartbroken to actually do anything about it. Yet. Yeah, because we've only got the first 5 episodes on Disney+. So I do think that's interesting. There's so much potential with the ghost hunting shims. What other random episodes can I not think of off the top of my head? I'm definitely forgetting some stuff. I really should look it up, but I'm doing things right now. How fast can I boot up Disney Plus? Nothing. There's an entire episode where the mom has to paint. And, right, she can't paint because she's scared of the blank canvas. And so in order to get by that fear, what she ends up doing is... Right, Scratch, meanwhile, wants to be the muse for her painting. But that's exactly because Scratch accidentally paints on it. And that's what finally gets her to move. Which, I literally can think, there's an anime, one of my favorite animes, Barakamon, has the exact same, right, where he has to paint on a boat. Like, he has to paint the name of a ship on the ship. But he's too scared to do it, and then the kids do it. So it's right, similar-ish issues, but I really like it there. interesting. What other random things? Painting. Oh, the so the episodes It's Always Sunny in Sunnyland, and basically their trip to Disneyland gets rained out. Well, Sunnyland. So Molly recreates it, but you know, in order to make everyone else happy, she has to make herself miserable. But no, it's a very good one as well. Yeah, no, I think the season started off pretty strong. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think the season started off very strong. I had a lot of fun, right? The Shins I was worried about, specifically Ollie, right? All the promos was like, oh, he's just another Molly, but no, making him a ghost hunter, which I did not know going into the episode, I felt like works, and yeah, him getting his heart broken at the end of episode 5, I think leads to some interesting potential. Daryl becomes a ghost for an episode, and they don't really do much with it. There's also a whole... We're learning about Scratch's backstory, because they ask, like, hey, Scratch, what were you like as a human? And so he drinks a soda, and he finds out, right, he used to have, like, a childhood friend who they haven't seen each other, and so what's that going to be? Well, that's going to be interesting. I'm trying to figure out the time period, definitely, because that look, right, the fact that it's a moving truck and everything makes me think it's relatively recent. Like, you know, past like 40 years at most. But that's interesting. I don't know, there's definitely, they do definitely ask a lot of questions. And they, you know, they address some of the things where it's like, oh, you know, I'm surprised you didn't talk about this in the first season. Right, like Scratch learning about his history. They do as part of that episode, they do a whole Ocean's 11 parody. Which I feel like every kid's show is required to do an Ocean's 11 parody at some point. Or a heist movie episode. Which I have no problem with. A heist stuff. No matter how much, you know, Rick and Morty just destroys heist movies, I still like heist movies. Nothing has changed there. Oh, shit. So yeah, I think it was a pretty strong start as a start to the second season. I think it's pretty strong, and I do enjoy it. And yeah, in a few weeks, we'll probably get a few more episodes. Probably. I don't know. I really... TV release schedules. Like, back in the day, it was like, oh, you get a few episodes, it goes on hiatus for a while, then you get a few episodes, then it goes on hiatus for a while. Nowadays, I have no idea. Because, right, we got the first 6 episodes of Moon Girl. Then it went on... Then, after a while, and presumably they had aired on Disney Plus, like, or Disney Channel by week. We then didn't get anything. Then we got another band of 5 episodes. And then all of a sudden this week it was like, hey, guess what? We're getting another episode. So Moon Girl. So we got the 12th episode of Moon Girl, which I do not remember the name of the episode, but it's all about Casey's bat mitzvah. Right? Because she's Jewish. And we spend some time with her dads. And, you know, okay, cool. And they go to temple. Casey wants to have this really, like, stellar bat mitzvah that impresses her triplet cousins. And she wants to get this one, like, Instagram... I'm going to use Instagram celebrity to be at the party. And, yeah, sure enough, by inviting Moon Girl, the Instagram celebrity whose name I'm forgetting... is, like, really interested now, and so comes, but Casey kind of abuses Moon Girl's popularity, and so they have a whole confrontation about it, that eventually leaves with Moon Girl trying to leave, until you find out the Instagram celebrity is a villain. And then they fight, they interrupt the bat mitzvah, and everything around the bat mitzvah is great, right? Again, we're, you know... For all the talk about Jews running Hollywood, in film and television, they actually have very little representation. Right? Like, the fact that there's only one memorable Hanukkah movie. And it's not even that good of a movie. Kinda, right? Because everything's about Christmas. And I know the conspiracy theory probably covers that. Because guess what? All conspiracy theories at their core deal with anti-Semitism. Yep. Whether it's the moon landing or QAnon, they're all about anti-Semitism. Always have been. So yeah, but no, this is great, right? Between this and Ghost and Molly McGee also having a Bat Mitzvah episode. God, I hope the show does a Hanukkah episode. God, if we get a Christmas Hanukkah episode that is even a tenth as good as the Static Shock one, oh, I'd be living. Oh, that sounds amazing. In due time. We will see in due time. But no, so eventually she feels, Casey feels terrible about it, but that's when Moon Girl comes in fighting the celebrity, who, I don't remember her name, but I do remember she's like the daughter of the head of the Thieves Guild. And she's built her entire business on stealing tech from superheroes. So, right, you get references to Captain America, Iron Man, stuff like that. And she's trying to steal Moon Girl's tech. But Moon Girl eventually does defeat her. They trap her in the closet. Casey and Lunella make up and have the Bat Mitzvah. And then at the end, it's like, oh, well, did we ever do anything with her? And it's like, oh, well, I made a call. And Captain fucking America shows up to steal back his tech from this Instagram celebrity. And Sam Wilson, Captain America. And it's great. That's a great little end moment. Because the show's always referenced other Marvel properties. And there's a ton of them in this one. But yeah, having Captain America show up at the end, so fucking cool. Because they reference Captain America multiple times in this episode. So yeah, that was awesome. Oh shit. But no, so I think the ending was great. But everything leading up to it was also very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great episode. Really, the more episodes we get of Moon Girl, the stronger it gets. Really. That's been my feeling on this first season. Is the more we see of it, the stronger it gets. I'm pretty sure we have 1 to 2 episodes left. Right now, like, I figured, honestly, they would have just put the next 3 episodes on Disney+. But as far as I know, this episode, it's not on Disney+. I didn't see it airing on Disney Channel. I'm pretty sure it was just put up on YouTube. So, yeah, you can go watch it on YouTube right now. But yeah, we have 2 to 3 episodes left. So I'm excited for those last 2 to 3. And then I'm sure the show goes on hiatus for a while. Because Disney, if I remember correctly, when Disney signs a show, they sign it for 20 episodes. So I'm sure the season will have 20 episodes. But we know there's at least 1 to 2 more episodes that are, like, done. Or, near done in production. And then, the show will go on hiatus for a few months, and then we'll come back. Because, yeah, I can't think of a Disney show in recent memory that hasn't had a first season that's 20 episodes. Owl House, Ghost and Molly McGee, Amphibia, all 20-episode seasons. I know they can stray on it later, like later on down the line with later seasons, but I want to say it was... Dana Terrace who was saying that, right, when signing the Owl House, they were, 20-episode season. That's one of the perks of working for Disney, is that you're guaranteed a 20-episode first season. But yeah, no, I'm still really enjoying Moon Girl. It's a lot of fun. Really glad I decided to start watching it. But with talking about one new show, right, that's only been premiering for a few months, weeks now, we have to talk about one show that ends. And that brings us to the series finale of The Owl House. So, up until this point, I have talked about The Owl House as one of my favorite shows of all time. I have put it on par with Gravity Falls multiple times. As just, Gravity Falls is one of the best shows ever. And I've constantly been comparing the two. And I've even said, like, oh, The Owl House might be better than Gravity Falls. We just have to see how it ends. And now that it has ended, is it better than Gravity Falls? Maybe. I guess I'm going to have to sit on it for a while. That's, I think, what it comes down to. Is I have to sit on it for a little bit. Because even when Gravity Falls ended, I was like, this is amazing. But then, I don't know, 6 months to a year later, I showed Gravity Falls to somebody else. And it was upon rewatching the entire show in 2 weeks that I was like, this is one of the best shows of all time. And I feel like the same thing. Right now, I'm like, The Owl House is amazing. It's one of the best shows I've seen. But I feel like in a few months, I'm going to sit down and watch it all again, or I'm going to show it to somebody who's never seen it. And then it's going to be like, yep, this is one of the best shows of all time. This is better than Gravity Falls. So right now, I'm going to say inconclusive. Farther testing needed. But just know, I loved it, and I put it on the same parity as Gravity Falls. I do truly think it's amazing, and I feel like the finale was really good. Is the finale perfect? No. But I did really enjoy it. So I'm just going to go full spoilers. I'm not going to put up the spoiler card or anything. But I'm just going to say full spoilers ahead. You have been warned. Guess what? The entire show is on Disney+. And if the finale is on Disney Plus in YouTube. You can literally watch the final 3 episodes on Disney Plus in YouTube. So that's great. But this final episode, right, 55 minutes, no ad. They aired it without ads. But it was aired, at least locally, it aired at like freaking 11 o'clock at night. Oh my gosh. But I stayed up. And yeah, I loved it. I feel like it's a very solid end. It's got some problems. Some of them, I don't entirely know if it's their fault. Some of them are. But I do really enjoy it. So, the basic plot of this episode is, the last episode ends with Bellows convincing the Collector to write, oh, you need to take Luz and Luz and the Owl Lady as serious threats. So this episode starts with them literally dreaming, right? Because the episode's called Watching and Dreaming. So they're in a dream, but they very quickly break out of that. And the Collector's, and Amity and Willow and Gus and Hunter get taken away. And everyone else is like, oh, well, so it's Ida, King, and Luz. And they're trying to figure out, like, what do we do next? Right? The Collector has them play more games, but then they decide, like, oh, Collector, they basically redeem the Collector, right? Very early on, they redeem the Collector, and it's like, hey, let's go, let me show you the Owl House. Let me show you Hexside, right? So they run into some students. Let me show you where it all started. So they go back through everything. And, it's kind of, right, paying tribute to everything that's happened, but it's also a solid send-off to the show, just going back through some memories. It's not a very long sequence, like, they could have done so much more, but again, they only had, like, this could have been an entire episode, and what could have easily been a 20-episode season that got condensed down into 3 episodes, because Disney canceled them. So, they go back through. Meanwhile, Bellows, who is still possessing Rain, I'm forgetting, I've only seen this episode once. So I'm definitely forgetting some of the details, because again, it was late last night. That's why I usually do these directly after. I still would have forgotten stuff. Bellows figures out that the Titan, from the Collector, that the Titan's heart is the Titan. So he has the idea to possess the Titan's heart, thus giving him control of the Titan. And so he takes Rain's body there. Rain breaks free, and they try to defeat Bellows, fail, and get captured. Bellows then takes over the Titan and literally starts bringing it to life. They start bringing the Titan to life, and you get all this growth on the Titan. And I'm going to be honest, I part of me does not want to rewatch this episode because of all of this, like, growth that comes out of Bellows, right? This, like, disgusting, like, mold. And I'm pretty sure I have tryptophobia, right? Seeing certain, like, patterns really does mess with me. And while this isn't a tryptophobia thing, I don't know what phobia this is, it unsettles me. And I know that's the intention, but it's to such a degree that I kind of don't want to watch the episode again. Because it's gross. Just seeing this bile. It's like snot. But just seeing it spread through the aisles. Oh. Sends shivers down my spine. And I know, right, they do a really good job at animating it. But that just makes me want to watch it less. Again, I do not consider that a problem with the episode itself. That's a personal thing. But, oh god, it's bad. But Bellows tries to take over the Titan. Luz and Ida and the Collector go to check it out, as well as King. And, right, because this is after they've redeemed the Collector. So the Collector's like, oh, well, we can just go redeem Bellows. And gives the whole Steven Universe, you can make a difference, you can make a change speech. But in a very... I know we've talked about Jack Horner. I don't remember what video we talked about Jack Horner in. But right, in that sort of way, Bellows goes to kill the Collector. And we're 25 minutes into the episode at this point. Maybe not even. Instead, Luz goes to save the Collector. And gets hit herself. And fucking dies. Halfway through the episode. Yeah, they do that. What is it with these Disney shows and killing off their protagonists? Right? Because that's how Amphibia ended as well. They killed off, Anne? I can remember Sasha and Marcy. It's Anne, right? Right, that's how that episode ends. And yeah, in this episode, they kill off Luz. Yeah, 25 minutes in. And that's why, right, in the trailer, we saw, like, King and Ida being, like, ferocious. Because they're trying to kill Bellows for killing their child/older sister. And yeah, it's a very serious moment, but it's also a very well-done moment. And the Collector, meanwhile, has to struggle with the concept of death. Because that's, like, he's playing with people, treating them like dolls. As we've seen in the previous episode. But that's because he doesn't understand the concept of death. Because one of the things I am grateful for is they separate the Collector from... Because we get the Collector's backstory, right? That all the other Collectors, who are now called the Archivists, which, good. I'm glad they separated the Collector from his other species. Because as far as I could tell, all of them were just called Collectors. But basically the Archivist told the Collector, hey, go down, play with the baby Titans. So he did. But it's because of that the Titan Archivist War started. That maybe killed all the Archivists? I'm not entirely sure, but it definitely killed all the Titans. Except for King. But, so, they go ferocious on Bellows. Meanwhile, his influence spreads across the aisles. Luz, meanwhile, goes to that place between the dimensions and meets King's dad. Now, King's dad is non-binary, but they still refer to themselves as King's dad, so we're just going to roll with it. And from King's dad, they learn, right, what the in-between is, what happened between the two, right, regrets and all that. And then Luz is given a chance, because, you know, she learns that Bellows is trying to bring the island back to life, but she's given a piece of the Collector's power. So she comes back to life, and the Titan Luz design is amazing. It seriously is one of the best designs. Just straight up, I love it so much. It's so good. And with that, the Collector has been, right, because he got shot earlier by Bellows, he kind of doesn't have access to his magic. So he's off to the side on his little side quest, which we'll talk about. But Ida, King, and Luz work together to defeat Bellows. And it's awesome, right? All the beautiful animation you want. The whole scene of Luz defeating Bellows by whipping him out of the Titan's heart is amazing. Everything about it works so well. And then at the end, after she's everyone has been saved, Bellows has been defeated. Bellows tries to hey, it's me, Philip. You broke the curse, thank you. And she just won't do anything as he starts to burn to death in the rain. But then Ida, Rain, and King just stomp Bellows into the ground. Right? It's like that one JoJo meme. And that's great. For all the problems with Star vs. the Forces of Evil, I do love how they did because Toffee's death is very similar. Where he's having this, where he's literally melting. And they're giving him, this serious death moment. Just to be interrupted by a joke. That I still think fits very well. And yeah, I think how they just curb stomp Bellows out of existence is very funny. So, the Collector and everyone else stuff. So, if I have one big problem with this episode, it's that Amity, Hunter, Gus, and Willow don't have anything to do in it. Right? After the dream sequence at the beginning, they get turned into puppets. And also Camilla. Camilla falls into this. And you get one great moment where Camilla is a puppet and cries after Luz dies. But other than that, they just don't really have much to do in the episode. Because, yeah, sure, you get this moment where they're trying to save everybody as the island turns into, this Bellows malice. But then the Collector comes in and saves them. As he, holds up the archives. So really, yeah, if I have one big problem, it's just clear, it's that Amity, Gus, Willow, Hunter, and Camilla could have stayed as puppets. And it wouldn't have affected the plot at all. They don't really contribute anything to the end. And part of me is fine with it because the two previous episodes, they contributed a whole bunch to the plot. Meanwhile, Ida and King didn't do as much. So having, those four kind of take a step back while you move Ida and King up front is very good. Or at least it works, right? I get what they're doing, but there was really no reason to cut back to them. Thematically, it makes a lot of sense. I'm also glad they didn't kill Rain. They could have so easily have just, because at the end of the episode, the only major death is Flapjack and Bellows. But again, villain. I'm so glad they didn't kill Rain, because out of everyone, I think they were the prime target. Nope. Just this once, almost everybody lives. I say that, but that happens so often. So, in the end, yeah, they've defeated Bellows, they can start rebuilding the Isles, everyone is freed from being puppets, and you get all these little great moments, Willow reuniting with her dads, Gus reuniting with his dad, Amity reuniting with her dad, but also Darius, because, I've been in the shipping community just long enough to see the ship between Darius and Amity's dad. And maybe. But also Darius is a dad to Hunter. And that's oh, that's really cool. Okay, yeah. I'm glad they're going through with that. Because there were a lot of hints about Hunter kind of being adopted by Camilla, as well as, V, right? They were hinting at both of them. But no, Darius, being the adopted dad of Hunter, I think also works very well. And then we get our time skip. If I've talked about previous shows in the past, I love a good time skip. That's the best way to end a show. Outside of our lesbian wedding, which we technically don't get, but giving us a time skip to just see, hey, what happened to these characters a few years down the line? Right? Where are they a few years later? I loved it in Amphibia. I loved it in Kipo. I loved it in... Gravity Falls doesn't have one, which kind of sucks. But a lot of other shows... I love Steven has an entire season in a movie. Right? I love to know just what happens a few years later. And yeah, so we see Luz on her... She's graduated high school, so she's at least 18. If not older. But I'm pretty sure she's 18. And so she and V have graduated college. Or high school, I mean. And she's going back to the Demon Realm to meet up with everyone. We see where everybody has been these past few years. Right, they've rebuilt Hexside. Willow is a Grudgeby player. Hunter learned how to make Palisman. And he makes a new Palisman, a Blue Jay. Which I want to say is called Waffles. I want to say I saw that somewheres. From someone on the crew on Twitter, which is, I think, very funny. And I know there's a whole symbolism thing for Blue Jays and Robins. I don't remember all the details, obviously. But yeah, Gus, they've started a basically Wild Witch University, and as part of it, I think Gus is supposed to be either a student or a teacher there. And Ida is the headmaster, which I think is very funny. Right, I said they were rebuilding Hexside with Lily as the headmaster, and Matholomew is helping rebuild. Amity shows up, and I should say, I love all of these designs. I love the Amity design, but I love all of these designs so much. They're exactly how I'd imagine them. They all look great. Did every character go through an emo phase? Maybe. I mean, there's definitely some hints at it. And then, because they're all meeting up. Ida's got a hook hand, which is, not what I expected, but okay, sure, sounds fun. And who else am I missing? I'm sure there's somebody. But in the end, they all come together for Luz's quinceañera. Because even though she's, again, 18, they kind of missed it last time because, they've been rebuilding the Isles and everything. But now she gets to actually have a quinceañera. And they learn that because King is growing older, because after defeating Belos, the glyph magic stops working. But because King's getting older, hey, glyph magic's going to start working again. So now she can go to Wild Magic University. And then and the Collector... Now, one of the things that I do think is weird is that a big part of the Collector's motivation is that he's scared to be alone, because he was alone for so long. Right? Because the Titan trapped him in this bubble between the worlds. So, at the end, he just kind of goes off into space. And, they do definitely say, they've seen him several times since then. But that's the one conclusion that I do find kind of weird. His big motivation was him not being alone anymore. So him going off to, search the stars. And, did he create the new door between the worlds? Yeah. But, and then it ends with, all the cast together. And, hey, guess what? They thank the Collector, but really, they're thanking the audience. Because, for the, thanks to them for the future and watching and dreaming. AKA, thanks for watching. And that's how it ends. And, people are, Rain and Ida are presumably still together. They don't actually give any I wanted their wedding so bad. I wanted it so bad. But we know Luz and Amity are together. Huntlow is canon, as far as I'm concerned. They technically never directly say it, but there's some heavy hints. Come on, people. You just can't, just because they didn't say X doesn't mean they don't heavily imply it. I'm saying this to defend it, but I don't have to. I'm too old to get involved in shipping wars anymore. Did the episode make me cry? No. But again, like I said earlier, I didn't cry at the finale of Gravity Falls, and then I rewatched the show a few months later, and I cried my eyes out. So when I rewatch this show in a few months or whenever, I will probably cry my eyes out. But today, no. There was one moment, where I got close, probably when Luz died. But other than that, no. No, nothing yet. But it really, it's an amazing show, and it's sad that it's over, but at least they got an ending. Right? You see so many of these shows that get canceled, and they just don't get an ending. And while I can guarantee the ending was very different from what we got, or at least it was, I mean, I'm sure the ending was the same, I just think the journey was very different. I'm sure the journey was very different. It's not a bad ending by any means. Are there loose ends? Probably, but nothing that really matters to me. The Owl House was a cool, fun show that meant a lot for a lot of people. Like, the first thing I saw upon opening up Twitter, because the second the episode like started airing in like other regions, I like went blackout on Twitter. But the first thing I saw upon opening up Twitter was, the Owl House is over. It's now time to kill myself. And like, it's a joke, but this show meant a lot for a lot of people. It's not, sometimes for some people, the characters they see don't always speak or act like them. So to have this show come in and get that representation, it means a lot for a lot of people. Especially in these times where so many just god-awful things are happening, and literally fascism is coming back, trying to wipe out transgender people, and they're gonna come for the rest of the LGBTQ spectrum next, right? It starts with trans people, and then they're gonna take out bi people. Well, they'll probably take out gay and lesbian first, then they'll come for bi people, and then they go back to the Jews. It's fascism. It's fascism in its most blatant form, but this show meant a lot for a lot of people. Yeah, sure. I'm just a cis Hispanic male. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very special, and I love it so much. Sure, it'll never mean for me what it means for other people. But the more people that see it, the better. Not like it will change anyone's mind. Again, fascism. How did I not die? And yeah, what comes next? I don't know. I would love to hope that even though it's over, Disney's... Again, Steven Universe got destroyed in its final season, and yet it still came back for a movie and another season, in a 6th season. So if that can happen there, well, who knows what could happen here. Maybe nothing, but maybe a lot. Maybe somebody at the upper hand of Disney realizes that there's still more stories to be told here. And I'll be there if there are. And if not, well, at least we have the memories we have. The show's still here, and it's very special. But is it better than Gravity Falls? Maybe. Maybe. Because see, even Gravity Falls, for as much as I say it's one of the best shows of all time, it's got its own issues. Mabel. But I still love it. So, what you gonna do? Just enjoy all the TV. Now, what show do I start next? I mean, we're already watching Moon Girl and Ghost and Molly McGee. What show do we start next? I need to get around to watching Hilda. That's the big thing. That's the one that, like, I know people love Hilda. I know it's great. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. And I finally watched She-Ra. I finally watched Kipo. I think Hilda's the next one. I'm trying to think of a good note to end this on, but I really can't think of anything. I had an idea for a video. For like a special like Owl House sort of tribute thing. No, nothing that special, but I had the idea for it. And it was like, oh, maybe I'll... And I had the idea a long time ago. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll finally do it when, Thanks to Them comes out. And then it was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do it with... And then I definitely wasn't going to do it when the, For the Future came out. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll finally do it for the series finale. And then as the time approached, I was like, nah, there's other things I would want to do. Hey, da boy, how you doing tonight? And yeah, I do remember you. Because holy shit, it's that boy! Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba! Yeah, you know, some videos get made, some don't. I'm surprised... I'm still surprised the Bluey video finally got out. Oh god, and I've got the other 2 parts. And I know there's a new... I think there was also a new Bluey episode this week. I just haven't watched it. Because I don't know where you watch it. But yeah, there was also a new Bluey episode. Oh shit, are we going to talk for 20 minutes about a new Bluey episode? That's 6 minutes long at most. Yeah. But I think we're going to do one more match, and then I think I'm going to end it for the night. Yeah, Easter, whatever. Ugh. I do not care for Easter. But, you know, drama. Yeah, Bluey still exists. The show's only been around for like 3 years. Yeah, no. They're currently in production of, I want to say, the 4th season. But they had like a special episode that premiered, I want to say today or yesterday. So yeah, no, of course Bluey still exists. It's not that old of a show. And I mean, when you're one of the best shows on television, of course you're still going to keep making episodes. You're going to keep making episodes. Now, oh no, there's a whole, like, on Disney Plus where you watch it in America. There's still like a whole dozen episodes that still have not released. Why they haven't released, I have no idea. Yeah, I had to go places to find those episodes, but I did. And I have to go places to find this one. Yep. The Owl House may have ended, but at least it was a glorious end. I'm gonna miss it. Part of me didn't want to watch the finale of the Owl House because I like the idea of there just always being more Owl House out there. Like, no matter where I am, there's always just going to be a little bit more Owl House. Something on the horizon. Admittedly, I think that's a Jeff Ramsey bit. Where he's like, he doesn't want to watch the end of Fleabag because the idea of Fleabag is better than actually watching Fleabag. They ended it because Disney canceled them. That's why. They didn't want to. They had, I want to say they had said they had tons of more plans. But nope, Disney canceled them. At least they got an ending. I think I'll just always be haunted by Symbionic Titan. Because I loved that show. I loved that show so much. And it ends on a pseudo cliffhanger-ish thing. And that's it. We'll never know what happens after that. I mean, hopefully, eventually someone will reveal, like, hey, this was the plan. Right? Because, I mean, we know how Half-Life 3 what was gonna happen in that game. And if Half-Life 3 can sort of release, then anything else is possible. But that's the one that will always break my heart. I also really liked Tower Prep. Because of the... Yeah, that's part of it. You know, that's part of it. I don't know. Shows get canceled for very weird reasons. Again, I'm going to use Tower Prep as an example. It got canceled because... Not because of anything was wrong with the show. It was doing fine in the ratings. But it was very popular amongst girls. And Cartoon Network didn't like that. For some reason, they didn't want a show that was popular with girls, so they canceled it. And that breaks my heart. So Tower Prep was a show on Cartoon Network during that phase where Cartoon Network was doing all of its live action stuff. You know, Dude, Where's My Car? Destroy, Build, Destroy. During that era. And it was a show about like a bunch of kids who get brought to Tower Prep, which is like a special school for gifted children. But there's like this whole mystery involved. And eventually they like escape the school, but then like the AI that runs the school turns out to be like a real person or something. There was some sort of reveal like that. And it's like this big like cliffhanger. And then that was it. It was canceled. And people don't really think about it much anymore because it was during the live action Cartoon Network era, which, don't get me wrong, got a lot of crap in it. But that's one of the fond memories. Yeah. I guess I'll buy this. And I'll take this. Generic orange shirt. You can tell what type of gear I buy and I don't buy. Like, I don't buy anything with ink resist up in the main slot. I don't write anything with sub resist. Right, there's just certain pieces of gear that I just don't buy. Oh, we got 3 levels in the catalog. Still can't afford a cell phone. You know, at least I'm starting to make some of my money back. That's good. You know, for being at the point of almost losing all of it. At least I'm making some of it back. Oh, wait, I don't actually have an amiibo today. I forgot to grab a new one. Because I finished off the one I had. So, where does that leave us for the future of streaming this next week? Let me think. I would love to do more Breath of the Wild tomorrow. Right, be back tomorrow at, you know, that noon-ish time, noonish Eastern time, with another few hours of Breath of the Wild. You know, we're working towards Divine Beast, Lizard. I've been trying to rack my brain over what the last of them, because Va Meadow is the bird, Va Ruta is the elephant, and Va Naboris is the camel. I cannot remember what the salamander is called. So, yeah, we're working our way towards that one. But there's some other things we probably have to do along the way. So that's coming up. And then, yeah, I think that's right. We're still playing Splatoon. You know, I've got all brand new gear as part of the lazy era. Which didn't become... I finally won a few ranked matches. Rudania. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I cannot remember that name. It just isn't memorable. That's harsh. But yeah, we still got to do... We've got Vaughn. But I've got a few other things I have to do as well before then. We're definitely... The start of the next stream... Oh, we're gonna do something stupid. Oh, we're going to do something stupid. It might work out great. You know, it might be great. It might also just end in complete disaster. Either outcome, I think, is very interesting. I think it ending in complete disaster will be funnier, but we'll see. And then, yeah, you know, we've got we've got less than 40 days until Tears of the Kingdom come out. And I'm super excited. I don't think there's any movies coming out soon. Again, I gotta watch Tetris. But other than that, I think the next MCU is in May. Advanced Wars comes out in 2 weeks, but I'm not super interested in it, to be honest. Like, it's probably fine, but I couldn't get into Wargroove, and so I'm probably not going to be able to get into Advanced Wars either. I don't know, I'll think about it. But Tears of the Kingdom, man. May. Oh my gosh, it's so soon. Oh, look at that hoot. Hoot. I saw a few Owl House posts as we were going around. Were actually good. It's... Oh, and I hit 100 salty sea snails, and then to make this shirt, I had to spend one of them. So I finally broke 100, and then right before, like yesterday, I spent one. So, yep, no more perfect salty sea snails for me. So yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow with Zelda, and then after that, well, we'll see. Are we gonna be back for Friday? Or are we definitely in chat on Saturday? That hasn't changed. There may be literally zero gaming news right now, which is fine. At least zero shit I care about, because that's the point of the show. Stuff I care about. I really should have renamed it. I really should have renamed the show at the start of the 4th season. Why didn't I do that? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Oh, besides for, like, the Owl House watching and dreaming thing, I'll clip out of the episode. But also, I've been posting Zelda clips on TikTok and YouTube for the past week and a half now. And they've been, from my standard YouTube views of, like, 12, they've been getting a few hundred. So that's, it's TikTok, so whatever. But I've actually been having a lot of fun just posting TikTok, going through the Zelda streams and making TikTok clips. I don't know, there's just something I've been finding cathartic about it recently. So expect that to keep up in the near future. Yeah. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for those. I mean, again, they're just stuff we're doing on stream. But, in little 1-minute zoomed-in formats. So it's working out pretty okay. But that's what we're going to end off for today. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time. Peace.